So as you know, the next series in the Collectable Minifigures has come out, Series 16. Lots of great reviews already on YouTube about it. But in this video, I'm going to look into the collectible minifigures from a different angle. Now, if you've been following the CMF line for a while, you're aware of the recurring themes within the CMF line. For instance, the shark suit guy is a follow-up to the other minifigs in animal suit guys that have come before, or like the frightening knight that joins the rest of the medieval warriors that CMF has brought out thus far. So in this video, I'm going to access my 100% complete CMF collection and see how the new entrants measure up to their conceptual predecessors. Now first we're going to look at the farmer. So he's another figure in relation to the previous figures. He's another one that has its own sidekick animal. So I've included all the figures since the beginning that come included with a sidekick animal, whether it be live or a in-universe toy. And I've only included the minifigure animals that actually have printing on them, not unlike the vampire or the mermaid, which they look like they're just spare parts that were thrown in. These they actually had to design and make prints for them, and much more expensive per piece. So it's a much more deliberate addition to the whole CMF package. So these are all the minifigures that have a animal sidekick. Now for the next figure, the Astronaut, I see him as a modern day city figure who is required to go to inhospitable places to do research or science work. So I included him with previous minifigures of the similar capacity. I did not include him actually with the previous Astronaut figures because I see those more as sci-fi orientated figures rather than a modern city outlook. So here we have all four figures that, in my opinion, are donned in wear that required due to them heading to an inhospitable environment. So next we have the Frightening Knight, which is a very exciting character. He's yet again another melee warrior, which us consumers we love, and LEGO loves making them because we have already 25 of them in the entire CMF line, or around 25 give or take. He also fits in well with just the medieval characters, as you see, and also if you subdivide that even further, he belongs to the melee medieval warriors, and also we could take all the evil medieval characters and group them together to make a evil medieval posse. Next you have the Clumsy Guy. There's not much precedent for him in previous minifigures. One thing I could think of is that yes, we already have two kind of medical professionals so far in this collectible minifigures line, and so I guess LEGO has provided us with a patient. And also, I guess if you go out on a limb, he's kind of related to the crash test dummy, because I guess this is what happens to you when you're flesh and blood, when you go through kind of trials that a crash test dummy has to go through. Next we have the Tribal Woman. So right off the bat, she's definitely out of the Western kind of minifigures. And we have 7 of those so far. And then going further, we have her here set up with just the other tribal minifigures. So it's getting quite substantial, the collection so far. Next we have the Flying Warrior. So first thing I could think of is he's very gold. and so I've put him in beside all the other minifigs that are predominantly pearl gold or chrome gold, and that would include the Aztec warrior and the Mr. Gold here. It's kind of interesting to look because they kind of look like bodyguards for this very rare and expensive minifigure. And here I've included all the minifigures that are winged and can fly in universe. And here we have them included with all the fantasy warriors, but just the historic ones, so no science fiction or anything. So just a fictional, historic, fantasy-oriented warriors are all set up right here. Next we have the fawn, and the first grouping I could think of is all the mythological characters from ancient cultures are displayed here. All them, and so far it seems that we don't have that many protagonists from those myths. It's overwhelmingly antagonists so far. So we'll wait and see. Perhaps we'll get in the future some kind of mythological warrior. And here we have all the polymorph figures here, and it's getting quite a substantial collection. That's 10 already of figures which are half human, half some other kind of animal. And it's good that we had the monsters series that added a whole 3 new figures to the roster. Next is the Janitor, and he's a great addition to the collection so far of the traditional 20th century blue-collar worker archetype, whereby you have kind of the painter, the butcher, the plumber, and so on and so forth. Yes, we had the judge or the archaeologist and so on, but I see these figures as representing the more folksy type. Next we have the ballerina, and that's a great addition to the previous female dancing or performing figures that we have. And I've excluded the singing, any female singers. Here are just the kind of physical performers. Next we have the flying mech, and so obviously he works with all the sci-fi characters that have come out, and I love this assortment. It looks so awesome. Seeing all of them assembled here, it looks like a glimpse into a fleshed out kind of spacefaring culture. When I was pulling all these minifigures, I thought I would be taking about half of the figures out, but it turns out from all the series so far we only have 15 sci-fi figures. I thought there'd be much more than that, but it's great because obviously it's more about the quality than quantity, because all of these together, they just look so good. And now I've singled out just the mechs, and they look so good together. It's like they, are pulled from some kind of action theme or something. With their breastplate being the same mold, and also their helmet piece, there's great continuity between them. The orange and white one, definitely a good guy. The next black and green, a bad guy. And then the third one seems maybe one of those characters that switches sides, keeps bouncing between good and evil. Next we have the Kendo fighter, and so I pulled all the minifigures that martial artists that exist within a purely competitive or sport environment. Next is the shark suit guy, and obviously he's part of the much beloved People in Animal Suit series. This is definitely my favorite figure of the series, because these guys in their animal suits, it's hilarious. Look at them, they're awesome. I broke my rule that I stated in the beginning of this video about only using unlicensed sets, and so I grabbed the Panda Guy from the Lego Movie collectible minifigures, because it's just too obvious that he's like a throwback to these series, and his absence would be a real shame. I really love these people in suits figures, and I'm really excited as to what Lego will come up with in the future. So many possibilities. Since I have him out here, why not compare him to previous minifigures that have shark heads? We've seen a great progression over the years. First we have the figure from the Harry Potter line from quite a few years ago, maybe 10 years ago. And then the next figure is from the Atlantis theme from about 5 years ago. And it's a great progression, as you can see. The current headgear is, in my opinion, the most superior so far. Next we have the wrestling champion. And obviously an homage to the Ultimate Warrior. I hope this sets a precedent and we get more figures based on legendary professional wrestling characters like Hulk Hogan or Macho Man Randy Savage. I've included on the left there the wrestler from the Lego Movie theme, just as comparison. I think the Ultimate Warrior here definitely could take those guys. Next we have the Jewel Thief, and I could not think of any precedent for this character. I checked the whole collection, and that's also exciting because this opens up the doors for future perpetrators of heists and whatnot. One thing I could think of though is displaying all the law enforcement characters who would likely be tasked with catching this criminal. And last but definitely not least, we have the Queen. So early in this video we looked at the Frightening Knight, and so looked at all the medieval kind of characters and the evil ones too. Well, this time I'm going to look at just the benevolent ones. So here we have so far kind of the King's Court members. It's a beautiful ensemble actually. The color palette is very vibrant and saturated. I'm excited to see future additions to this sub-theme. So that was a look at all the minifigures from Series 16 that alluded to a sub-theme within the collectible minifigures from Lego. I'm sure I might have missed one or two sub-themes here and there, but that's to be expected when you have hundreds of minifigures from the collectible minifig series. But anyways, I had fun doing this video. Hope you had fun watching it. Catch you next time.